Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So warm greetings to everyone. I am Aparajeeta Sarmah from Marketing Podcasting. Would like to welcome you all on this 11th episode of MTACTIQ themed on career advancement secrets. Taking this opportunity, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Aparajeeta Sarmah, who is the Senior Director at METLIFE. Ma'am has an industry experience of over 20 plus years and has served at very prestigious posts in great companies like being an HR director at MetLife for 14 plus years, as senior HR manager at ICICI Prudential, and the list continues. I welcome you, ma'am. Let us all get enlightened through the series of question answer sessions, which will be taken by Agramika Joshi. Thank you, ma'am. Handing over to Agramika.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. You can call me Aparajeeta.
Hi, Aparajeeta. So it's really a pleasure to have you here. So moving forward to the questions, can we start?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So could you give us a background of how you have been working and how has your journey been, just to brief up the audience a little to begin with?
Well, the journey's been nice. I belong to Assam. I was there. My hometown is Guwahati. I was there till my graduation, then went on to do my MBA from XISS Ranchi. Then was with GE couple of years in Bangalore, in the John F. Welch Technology Center, and then with GXS, which today is OpenText. Post that, I joined ICICI Prudential. I was in Hyderabad for some time, and then moved to Noida and been with MetLife for the last 14 years. So taken on various roles of HR and from what I like to connect with young minds and keep up to date with what keeps them going. So pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, the most of our audience, and including me and all of us, we're marketing students from Christ University. So could you give us a background of what do we not expect right after completing our management studies, stepping into the corporate world? Like, what are the things that we actually often miss out on?
Well, I think when one goes with this powerful designation or a chip on your collar of being an MBA or a marketing graduate, as you say, it brings some pros and some cons. Pro, it just kind of adds to your market value. The con of it is that it puts you on a plane where you may segregate things as a blue collared or a white collared job, and not willing to completely dirty your hands and get into things the way an entrepreneur would do, right? If you had your own shop, for example, even if a chair broke, you would mend it yourself or make sure that it mended, irrespective of whose job it is. So that entrepreneurial mindset is very, very important, I think, for freshers, and more so today, because this is not going to be your last degree or diploma you're going to have to build on in life. So be aware of that.
That's a great advice, ma'am. Thank you so much. So moving on to the next question, there's plethora of information, knowledge available for us from different domains. Like marketing students be studying about operations and logistics, and there are a lot of other things that are not directly in accordance with what we are supposed to be studying. So how can, as a marketer, we channelize all these informations, and how can we stick to those informations and be mindful of what to consider as a career in marketing?
Well, I'm not from a marketing field, so my answer will not be limited to marketing as such. But what I would encourage is to have a blend of two answers basically to this, to have a blend of formal and informal learning. What you could get from hours of Google research may be well encapsulated by a very thorough researcher into a book. So that is one thing that you will gain from as much as you would want to foray into, all that is available on the internet today, and keep yourself up to date. So be it business magazines or interactions that, or networking events, etc. So keep a blend of formal and informal is what I would say. The other thing is to have really rely on the social networking part of it, and to be able to leverage your connections, and to be able to really listen, learn out of it. And also there could be a tendency, because most of you will call yourself freshers, so there could be a tendency to have a kind of a competition or a comparison. If your friend is joining a startup, you may want to do the same, or if you're somebody better in class has joined a Fortune 50 company, you may want to do the same. But take a step back, relax, and think, what is it that you want to do? What are your priorities, motivations, preferences in life? Would you want to keep your hobbies and your wellness and everything going as you do your job? Or is it the first few years you just want to be at your job and, go all guns? So your choices should be determined by your preferences, and not, what others are doing as much.
True. So as becoming on the path of becoming future managers, be it any domain, not just marketing also, what are the main qualities that should be developed to sustain in the corporate world? As a guidance to the students, what can you suggest? What kind of qualities in accordance with the entrepreneurial mindset?
All right. So keep that on, keep the entrepreneurial mindset on. And as you grow in your career, you can't do everything. So trust is something that is required both from the managers as well as the reporters side. So learn to trust in your DRs, in their competence, or build their competence as much as you can, so that you can take on more. So that is one thumb rule that at least I live by. You can only take on more if you have a team that can do what you've done thus far, right? And be willing to give chances to people, take a little bit of calculated risk, not put all the eggs in the same basket, as in, just don't go to your go-getter guy for everything. There would be others around who maybe, learn to play between introvert and extrovert people. I think that's what was top of mind.
Okay, ma'am. So is it true that smart work beats hard work? And can you actually define smart work for us in corporate world, basically? How do we connect all our networks and our competencies? And how do we be mindful? Do we stick to a job? Or how do we be mindful when we are working in an organization?
So I'm not a jargon person, so I wouldn't be, kind of categorized by a hard work or a smart work. What I know is, in any job, it is very important to understand what your stakeholder, who is your stakeholder, what does the stakeholder want, okay, and the efforts to be led by that. Because if someone wants an orange and you create the best apple in the world, you may not be able to sell it in that environment. Your apple might be great, but you'll have to take it to an apple market, not the orange market, right? So that's what I mean by, what is the stakeholder, understand the need, and try to furnish it as much as to the best. Give it your best effort to make that successful. So that obviously is the mantra, whether hard work or smart work. The end objective of it is very important. Also, when I started, I told you, be ready to dirty your hands. So instead of just being in the silo of the job, try to see what your company's edge is and what it really delivers, and how are the other ways in which you can add value, because you may not want to, or you may not even be required to stick to the same job for years to come. And if you have to add value from your true potential, you may be, it'll do you good to be aware of what's done apart from your core KRAs.
So be respectful of all the opportunities that are coming towards you, and not just on to these 5 things I'm supposed to do. I'll just do these 5 things.
Yeah,
that open mindset has to be there. Thank you, ma'am. So what do you think will be the next breakthrough for corporations, considering the most dynamic shifts such as automation and sustainability business models? The ones who are not following it, would they just scram out of the markets, or how has the corporate culture been changing because of these major dynamic shifts?
The most recent major dynamic shift that you call it is the learning from COVID and how companies have come around it, right? And the most recent one being moonlighting that everybody seems to be
Exactly.
talking about. So that requires a gig mindset for employers to make it successful. Or you may choose to say no. So there's no one size fits all solution really. You may have something working for you, and there would be others depending on the context of the organization. There would be people who would be doing a lot of work involving risk, financial risk, auditing, for whom it will be very, very essential to have that kind of well guarded, cautious environment, right? Then they may not be able to give moonlighting as a take it lightly, while others, may be able to. So it's very important to understand that contextually. So that is coming up, and there are some laws that are changing in India, specifically. There's the code of wages coming up that will really define a lot about employee benefits when it comes to surface. So that's what the watch out for is. And also what I tapped onto in my last answer, it is not going to continue as a business environment where somebody just kind of did his CA or did his marketing MBA or did her HR MBA or her specialization in something and is able to just sustain a career with that one chip on the collar, right? So it is going to be a more demanding, more competitive scenario, and people are going to have to do enough and more to stay afloat. The one thing that is also influencing how organizations behave is this whole focus on wellness, be it mental or physical. Yeah, be it mental or physical, where you are kind of realizing with more and more burnout and wear out happening that health is really a priority, and organizations are
corporates focusing on employee health and mental health, physical health? What kind of measures do corporates are usually taking?
So some of them are clearly positioning it as a part of their employee benefits program. For others who are not, they are positioning flexibility and giving employees to do what they want in that space. At least you have the time to do that. And while there are others who are still not tapping into it, but 100-meter speed is different and a marathon speed is different for individuals, right? You can't run a marathon like you run 100 meters. So if you were to run the marathon somewhere,
everybody will have to accommodate this kind
you will take a call as a person. Yes.
True, ma'am. So what kind of measures can be taken to enhance employee health, basically? What specifics, some 2-3 measures that your company has been taking?
So you have a lot of common measures here, not just, typical to MetLife. A lot of progressive companies, they give flexibility, then they have the infrastructure in office. They've been having for many years, right? A gym or a yoga center or some Zumba classes and whatever you want to latch on to. More new age practices of mindfulness, wellness talks, and then you have doctor consultation online. So both proactive and reactive measures, and the amount you spend on the health cover for employees. These are a whole host of things that they do.
Okay, ma'am. So can you also tell us about the challenges that freshers, students might face at the initial days, or at considering working after 2-3 years, they might face at a managerial level? What kind of problems or challenges they could face in a corporate world, basically?
The challenges actually could be both from a technical and a behavioral side. So from a technical is the upkeep of the knowledge. Okay, it's changing very, very fast, especially in the IT industry. There is a whole host of changes, and if you've not been able to keep track or keep pace with it, you'll be obsolete soon. There's a risk of being obsolete soon. That is on the technical side. On the behavioral side, the major shift happens when you've been a fantastic individual contributor and then you take on a manager role, and then you are not able to shed the bias that everybody else will operate the same way as I do. So there's this thing of assuming that the priorities, values of individuals are the same. So at the crux, if you operate from that kind of a belief, then you may rock the boat. It's very important to get those behavioral competencies in place and build the trust.
Biases could be the biggest challenge that personal biases also, individual biases also could be one of the main things that a person faces in a corporate.
Yeah, and the more you are able to, you're from marketing, and if you are able to sell the job, there would be nuances of different nuances to a job that will appeal to different people.
Mm-hmm.
So the success of a manager is in a way related to how he or she keeps the job interesting and meaningful for the different members of the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, ma'am. So I'm coming to our biggest question based on our theme. What do you believe is the secret for career advancement?
I think career advancement is a much bigger term than what designation you're at or how much money you're making. Mm-hmm. You may mostly in vertical ladders, you'll see that it's one promotion after the other, and obviously it brings with it some money and maybe a bigger team size, etc. And you could keep progressing there. But if you haven't forayed into other areas and looked at maybe lateral movements and taken a certain bit of risk and challenged your position, then when the time comes to become a general manager, there could be some real challenges, right? There's a beautiful book of Peter Henson called Day After Tomorrow. So how much time on a regular basis do you keep to handle the shit of yesterday? And I'm using that word because he uses that in the book. The shit of yesterday versus how much do you keep for day after tomorrow? How are you planning for it? So that's one book recommendation I have. And then, you kind of plan it further. So advancement is really big. And as people mature and as people age, the meaning transforms for it. Okay, then at that point in time, having to take a step back and build from scratch, it's more advisable that you kind of keep working on it little by little.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, can you give a brief about what kind of designations, roles, responsibilities are out there for marketers, for HRs, and what are which probable designations do you see have a very good growth in future?
Designations have very little meaning here. I'm sorry to say that, because it is the content of work that is more important. Because the same, unfortunately, designations are not very standardized and are very different from industry to industry, right? Both the money that you make as well as the job content may be very different for two people called, let's say, a VP. In two different organizations. So the challenge, I would more guide people to look from the challenge of the role and how it fits into what you want to do in life, and not be really led by things that are more peripheral.
Mm-hmm. Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, can you give us a little brief about your company, MetLife, since it has it promises that it delivers greater value to its customers in simpler and focused ways. So can you give us a little brief about your firm?
Oh, yes. MetLife is a 150-year-old company, and it has been on the Fortune list. It's a Fortune 50 company. I work for the MetLife Global Shared Services here in Noida. We've got 3 entities in India. Mm-hmm. Noida and Hyderabad, and we life at large. headquartered in US. If you're interested in movies and you see the movies portraying New York, you will see MetLife building there in almost a lot of movies going there. So it's a matter of pride for us to be seen for that many years and a stable company as such. You asked on simplicity. Yes, simplicity is one of the things that we really focus on to be able to, let's say, even at a daily work level, how it is easy, simple to explain it to people rather than complicating it in bureaucracy. Right. So that's one example I'd like to give. Otherwise, it's a whole strategic thing that I don't want to cover in this discussion of,
No,
30
ma'am, completely acceptable. So, ma'am, there was this one term coined at your firm's LinkedIn page, sustainable workforce. Could you please give us a little insight on what that exactly means?
Sustainable workforce.
Yes, ma'am.
Sustainable workforce is, are you familiar with otherwise this is going to be a learning class, like future of work?
Sorry,
so like future of work.
Yes, ma'am, something like that.
Right. So it is related when you're talking about skills that are there and skills that will emerge. We're talking about this whole thing of reskilling, upskilling employees. Okay, and making sure that we all stay relevant, the company and the employees.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it stems from there, and it is in a way connected with what we're talking about, keeping yourself up to date.
Okay, ma'am. So with the power related aspects, basically.
Pardon?
So, ma'am, I didn't get it. Like, exactly how is it sustainable model for your employees, your workforce?
You will have to stay your workforce over a period of time, right? And for that, the demands of the market will change. Your products will change. The way technology or the environment emanates itself will change. Right, and you will have to, as a company, work towards the success of tomorrow by making sure that employees are upskilled, reskilled.
Okay, ma'am.
I hope you're getting it.
Yes, ma'am. Now I get it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, any 2-3 suggestions or tips that you would like to give our audience who are budding entrepreneurs, budding marketeers, budding HR students? So any few tips or suggestions for them?
I'll go with just one.
Yes,
ask yourself, how are you adding value? And that'll take you a long way.
True. That was very short and precise and very meaningful, ma'am. So, ma'am, with this, I would like to conclude the session with your permission. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. And I would also, on behalf of my podcast team, MTACTIQ, I would like to thank you for taking out your time and joining us. I would thank Rupesh sir and Veda ma'am for having given us this opportunity to conduct this interview, and my podcast team members who have supported us at all levels in making this happen. So thank you so much for joining, ma'am. It was really good to see you.
Well, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.